Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode here. Today we're going to do a little bit different topic. I'm going to talk about some of my favorite Amish traditions. And for anyone that maybe is new here and maybe you don't know, although most people usually know my story by the time they get here, but if you don't, I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview so you have an understanding of why I'm sharing what I'm sharing and that connection to some of those traditions. So I grew up in the strictest form of Amish communities that you can grow up in. We didn't have any electricity, no running water, no indoor plumbing. And we worked very, very hard. We lived off of the land on a lot of things. Like I grew up on an 80-acre farm with my family, 18 siblings, and my parents. And with that being said, because we lived on that farm, we grew a lot of our own foods, like our fruits and our vegetables and our meat, like, cows and chickens and pigs and like all of that stuff. And so I learned a lot of those traditions and I learned how to create things from scratch. And along with that, even though there's a lot of hard things that I went through and a lot of hard things that I learned and had to go through and all of that, it's made me who I am today. And I still cherish and treasure that so much because the good outweighs the bad. There obviously was like bad things too, but the good outweighs that. And I'm forever grateful for that. And so I thought, it's the time of the year where family traditions, holiday traditions are going on. And I want to talk about some of my favorite traditions. And maybe this inspires you to think about some things that you could do. And one of the things that I want to point out here is that, I come from a very, very simple background. Like we lived a very simple life without technology. And there's something to be said about simplicity, like living a simple life and learning how to create things from scratch, especially when it comes to cooking and baking and all of those things. There's something to be said about that. And there's something to be said about having community and that faith within the community. And then something that I always say that the Amish people have right is they create community. The strength of the community, I believe, is so strong. That's a reason why more people don't leave. Even though there are a lot of people that leave, I believe that there's a lot more that do want to leave, but they don't because of the strength of the community. And I think, and I believe, and I know that every single person should have a strong community of people in their lives, whether it's family or a church or a community that you're connected to. You should have a strong community because when things get difficult and things get hard, you should have a community to fall back on and say, hey, I need support, I need help. And that is something that the Amish are really good at. And I think that that's a missing gap in the modern world for so many people. If you look at different cultures, like Hispanic cultures, they usually have really strong communities. Italian cultures, like they have really strong communities. Like there's different cultures that do have really strong communities. But once you see an Amish barn raising, then you will know and understand the strength of community. So there's value in that. And I want you guys to think about that when, you're going through this season. Like, how are you valuing your community? How are you valuing the people that are in your community? And do you have community? But let's talk about some of our traditions that we had. So the thing is with holidays and especially Christmas is that we didn't do Christmas trees. We didn't do gifts. Like we didn't get up like on Christmas morning and go down and be like, oh hey, I get to unwrap a Christmas gift. Like that wasn't a thing in our family. I can remember 2 times that the entire family got gifts. And the first time that it happened because there was a guy that used to come to our house and we would bake hundreds of dozens of cookies for him and hundreds of dozens of chocolate candy we would make for him every single year. My mom used to make peanut brittle and she was the best at making peanut brittle. Now that I'm talking about this, I'm like, oh wow, like I could go for some peanut brittle. Like it's literally just sugar and peanuts, but there's a very specific way to make it. And here's something to know. Peanut brittle you do not want to make when it's on a cloudy day. For some reason, when you make peanut brittle on a cloudy day, the dampness, and if it's raining, the dampness that's in the air, it really ruins the peanut brittle. And so my mom would always make peanut brittle on a sunny day. She would make sure that it's a sunny day and it's cold and it's not rainy and it's not cloudy. And then the peanut brittle turned out really well. Otherwise, it gets like really more like taffy and it just doesn't taste well. So, yeah, my mom made amazing peanut brittle. But another tradition that we had, speaking of the cookies and the candy, is like I said, we made all these cookies and candy to sell every single holiday season. We started in November and it went all the way through Christmas. And that was really honestly like one of my favorite times of the years. And it's probably why I love this time of the year so much, even though my traditions are different now. But I still enjoy this. Like Christmas, the month of December is one of my favorite months of the year. And one of the things that I want to remind you guys is even though I'm not with my family, not my Amish family or anything like that on Christmas, I still get to decide whether or not I have a good time. I choose to wake up and be like, it's me. I get to decide how I go about my day. I get to decide how I celebrate this season, how I celebrate myself, what I do with my kiddo. I get to decide that. And I choose to be happy with it. I choose to create whatever type of lovely, enjoyable life that I want because my happiness is not anybody else's responsibility. It's my responsibility. And so I get to choose that. And so back to the gifting, like I remember, so the guy that would get all these cookies and candy every year for Christmas, one year he came to our house and us kids did not know and he gave gifts for each individual kid. So there was 19 of us and he gave an individual gift for all of us kids. And I remember that Christmas morning we came downstairs and we had this 15-foot table in our kitchen and dining area and in each child has their dedicated spot at the table every single time. That's where you sit. You don't change, nothing. You always sit there. And at each dedicated spot, there was a wrapped gift in newspaper. They used newspaper to wrap it. That was like the best thing ever. And I don't remember what that gift was. I really, really don't. But from then on, I always was like, "Ooh, Christmas morning, I wonder if we're gonna get up and have gifts." And it didn't happen for years. And then one day, one Christmas, my mom, so like a good portion of my older siblings were already married. But that one year after, my dad had passed and had been gone for quite a few years, I was probably like 16 or 17. I remember my mom got gifts, an individual gift for all of us kids. And so those are the two times that we got gifts for Christmas. Never got gifts for birthday or anything like that. So that like is still one of my all-time favorite memories because it meant so much to me. And what's funny is I still have the gift that my mom gave me. She gave me this blue Pyrex baking dish and I still have it. I still use it. And I treasure it. And if that would break, I would probably cry because it's the only thing that I have that I was ever given as a Christmas gift when I was still Amish. All right, friends, let's talk about something that's a little uncomfortable but super important: parasites. Yup, those unwanted guests in our bodies that can mess with our energy, digestion, and throw off our internal system. Now, most of us don't think about doing a parasite cleanse, but the truth is, these pesky little things are more common than we'd like to think, and they can lead to all kinds of symptoms that many people just live with, thinking they're normal. Now, it's not a matter of not having parasites at all. Rather, it's about how many do you have and what havoc are they creating internally. That's why I'm excited to share the Roger Hood Super Purified Kit with you. It's a comprehensive, all-natural kit that helps rid your body of parasites gently and effectively. I like to say this is white pant approved. It's easy to use and it's a great way to reset and support your health from the inside out. Because let's be real, detoxing isn't just a trend. It's a way to help our bodies function better. The reason I love the Super Purified Kit for myself and my clients so much is it doesn't just touch on parasites. This kit includes a heavy metal flush, a candida detox, a binder which is very much needed, and a red artist tincture designed to support your gut and your organs as you are detoxing. So if you've been feeling sluggish, bloated, or just not quite like yourself, it might be time to give parasite detoxing a try. Grab the Roger Hood Super Parasite Kit and start taking charge of your health, and see what a difference it makes when you clear out what shouldn't be there in the first place. Go to www.rogershood.com/ref/8. This link will automatically apply a 10% off discount code for you. If that doesn't work, you can also apply Lizzie 10. Again, that is www.rogershood.com/ref/8. You can also find this link in the show notes. Some other traditions that we had is for Christmas, we didn't have any kind of like decorations and stuff like that. And so on Christmas Day, we kept Christmas as a Sabbath. We didn't go to church or anything like that, but it was a Sabbath meant like no work. So Christmas Day was like literally us kids, one of our all-time favorite days out of the year. And we loved when Christmas Day landed on a Saturday or on a Monday. You know why? Because if it landed on one of those days, it meant we had 2 days back to back that we didn't have to work. It was like the best thing ever. I still remember those days. We still had to get up in the morning to go milk the cows and feed the animals and all that. But then the rest of the day was for us to do whatever. And on Christmas Day, oh man, it was the one day of the year that we let loose. Let loose, not the way that most people in the modern world think of letting loose. Like we let loose in terms of like we ate whatever we wanted. We ate so much candy. We ate so many pies and cookies and dessert and like so much sugar. And there was no rules. Like normally there were rules in place where you could only eat like so much. There was no rules. We could eat whatever and however much we wanted to. Go to the pantry, eat your caramel popcorn, because we made caramel popcorn, or every single year someone would bring like those big tin cans of different mixtures of popcorn. Like we love those. It was not uncommon for all of us to get sick. And so the reason I want to talk about that too is because the reason that people get sick during the holidays is because of the consumption of food. And also that it's more of an exposure to germs because you're hanging out with people, you're usually stressed more, you're not sleeping as well. But the consumption of food, which is sugar, highly processed foods, and alcohol, those are like the big things that will just decrease your immune system function. And so that's why. So like it was not uncommon for us to get sick on that day and even like throw up because there was no rules in place. And when Amish kids don't have rules in place, well, they're gonna, not have rules. So that is the holiday tradition. Now, some of my other favorite traditions are or things that we did. Some of them could be called traditions, some of them not really. It was more just like, hey, this is what we did. But some of the things that I remember doing is like in the winter time, like let's say it's a really, really cold day and it snowed a lot. Like one of my favorite things was like I remember 2 winters in a row that we would get like 3, 6 or more feet of snow. And one of the things that we would do is we would build tunnels in the snow. And so we would build a tunnel from the house to the chicken house and we would just crawl through the tunnel. And it's very dangerous because, the snow could cave in, but it never did. Nobody ever got like, so we had so much fun doing that. And that was like one of my favorite things. The other thing is like at school, a tradition that we had at school is we would build igloos. So if it would snow a lot and then it would get icy, we would build igloos at school. And we just had so much fun only taking the snow and building igloos. Like amazing. And then the school that we went to, the neighbors there to the school, they had ponds on their property. And so when it would get below zero, like it would have to be below zero for about a week or so for us to trust that the water is now completely frozen. And then we would go ice skating, but we didn't have ice skates. We had rubber shoes that would protect our regular shoes. So then we would put these rubber shoes over they're called like our shoes or something, but they're all rubber and you put those over your regular shoes and it protected your feet from getting wet and your shoes to get all soaked through. Well, what we would do is we would wear those rubber shoes and we would make sure we had the ones that didn't have any grip left on them. And then we would go ice skating on the pond. And then the other thing we would do is we'd go sledding and we would go up on the hill and then we would take the sled and go down the hill and onto the pond with the sled. It was the most amazing thing ever. Here's another one of my favorite things in the wintertime, especially during like Thanksgiving and Christmas. We loved when it snowed on Christmas. Oh, it was the best thing ever. Like not just a little bit of snow, but a lot of snow. This is how we created memories. So we would take our runner sleds. We had the wooden sleds with like the runner ones, and you could guide them with the little guide. So we would wrap twine around to pull them. And so if we really wanted to sled like really well, we would take those and we had these rubber boots that we would put on. You put like several pairs of socks on, and you put your gloves on, and then you put layers and layers on like coat and scarves and all kinds of stuff. Then we would take the sleds to the back of the property where all the fields were, go to the biggest mountain, and then we would sled down and you'd have to like dodge the trees and dodge the bushes and then make sure you don't go into the creek. Like it was so much fun. The best part was we had this big bobsled and several of us would have to pull it. We would pull it to the back end of the property and then like 8, 10, 12 of us would all get on this humongous bobsled and we would all go down the hill at the same time on this big bobsled. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Nobody ever got hurt. So clearly we did it safely, but those are some of my favorite memories. All right, friends, let's talk about something that's a little uncomfortable but super important. Parasites. Yup, those unwanted guests in our bodies that can mess with our energy, digestion, and throw off our internal system. Now, most of us don't think about doing a parasite cleanse, but the truth is, these pesky little things are more common than we'd like to think, and they can lead to all kinds of symptoms that many people just live with, thinking they're normal. Now, it's not a matter of not having parasites at all. Rather, it's about how many do you have and what havoc are they creating internally. That's why I'm excited to share the Roger Hood Super Purify Kit with you. It's a comprehensive, all-natural kit that helps rid your body of parasites gently and effectively. I like to say this is white pant approved. It's easy to use and it's a great way to reset and support your health from the inside out. Because let's be real, detoxing isn't just a trend. It's a way to help our bodies function better. The reason I love the Super Purify Kit for myself and my clients so much is it doesn't just touch on parasites. This kit includes a heavy metal flush, a candida detox, a binder which is very much needed, and a red artist tincture designed to support your gut and your organs as you are detoxing. So if you've been feeling sluggish, bloated, or just not quite like yourself, it might be time to give parasite detoxing a try. Grab the Roger Hood Super Purify Kit and start taking charge of your health and see what a difference it makes when you clear out what shouldn't be there in the first place. Go to www.rogershood.com/REF/8. This link will automatically apply a 10% off discount code for you. If that doesn't work, you can also apply Lizzie 10. Again, that is www.rogershood.com/REF/8. You can also find this link in the show notes. And then the other thing that we did in the winter that is also so amazing is we couldn't make ice cream in the summer. We only could make ice cream in the winter when it snowed. And the reason for that is because number one, we didn't have freezers. So we had to use snow and salt to make the ice cream. So we would make the mixture, which is literally like the best ice cream you'll ever have because it's all made with like raw milk, raw cream, sugar, salt, vanilla, whatever. Like my favorite was like butter pecan flavoring with pecans in it. That's my all-time favorite. So we had the hand crank ice cream maker and we would take some kind of salt, not just regular table salt. It had to be a different type of salt and then snow, you make a slush, and then you start it with that, and you keep adding snow in. And then once it's cold enough and it's like turned into ice cream, you have to hand crank it. You have to keep going, and then once it's done, then you take the can of ice cream and you take it out back in where the snow is, and you bury it in the snow to keep it cold. And then we would eat it at the next meal. So we did that. And then the other thing that we love doing is we would make ice cream sandwiches, but we could only make ice cream sandwiches if it was like 0 degrees out. Like what we would do is we would take graham crackers and then put like ice cream, frozen ice cream in the middle, and then another graham cracker on top. And then we would have to take that and set it out on the porch where it's like 0 degrees, and then it would freeze. It would like freeze on its own. So we have ice cream sandwiches. So again, that's like one of my favorite memories. And as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about all of these things that we did and how fun that was. And so I really cherish that. And one of the things that I like to do with my kiddo now is I like to do those types of things that create memories. Like last week, we made buttermilk cookies, my favorite cookie to make and my favorite cookie to eat when I was growing up. And if you've never had a buttermilk cookie, it's like a form of a sugar cookie, but way better. So what I did is I made a recipe. I took a traditional, almost traditional recipe of what we used to make, and I made it healthier. And it is so good. So I made them gluten free because my son and I don't do gluten. And what I did is I swapped for a little bit better sugar. And then we did, I use butter. There's no other oils in there or anything like that. And so every year in December during the holidays, him and I will, we started this last year and now we did it again this year, and we're going to keep doing it. But we will get together and we will make those cookies. Traditionally, like cut out cookies, like traditional cut out cookies, I'm not a fan of because those cookies are really hard to make gluten free and still taste good. And so what I do with this dough is I just let it chill and then I still roll it out and we make them into cut out cookies. And the thing is, they're not terribly sweet. So you can eat more of them. And it's not a big issue. Like the first day that I made them, we had these little gingerbread people. And all of a sudden, my son's like, yeah, I had like 5 or 6 of those. And I was like, what? So that's one of my favorite things to do now is take some of those things that were my favorite when I was growing up and I make it my own now. And then we create our own traditions. But just getting your kids involved in your baking, in your cooking, and making it fun, making it some kind of tradition that is fun. Like one of our favorite things to do every year, which is for a lot of people, is having fun building a gingerbread house. And we just figure out how we want to do it. And I just make it mandatory. I mean, he kind of makes it mandatory because like he sees a gingerbread house at the store and he's like, I got to do a gingerbread house. I'm like, all right, cool. So think about how you want to make traditions. And are you making traditions with your family? Are you making traditions with your kids? Or like, what kind of traditions are you making that are fun? And the other thing too is this can be a really stressful time of the year. And sometimes we get so stressed and overwhelmed with or you can. I don't really let that happen in my life anymore. If you're letting the stress of your family and the holidays and all of that get to you where it's really overwhelming, then you don't have boundaries in place and you don't have control in. And so when you don't have boundaries and you don't have structure, you don't have control. And so it's not about over controlling your life, but it is about setting standards and structure so that it doesn't feel chaotic. And that's the part that can be difficult for some people, but it's something that I talk to my clients about is like, you have to create structure more than anything, even this time of the year. Like a lot of times people want to let things go this time of the year, but don't. Like, please don't, because you will regret it. So create structure and know what your expectations are and then go with that. Real quick before I forget, the buttermilk cookie recipe that I was talking about, that is in my Amish holiday cookbook. And you're not going to want to miss that. So I'm going to put that link in the show notes, or you can also go to www.undieu.com. And if you go into the resource hub, you'll find it under products. It's $10. It's an ebook. It's an instant download. And what I did is I took some of my all-time favorite recipes like pies, cinnamon rolls, cookies, dressing. I took some of my all-time favorite meals and recipes and I put them in this ebook, but I made them healthier because let's be honest, like anybody that knows Amish food in general, it's not that healthy. Even though almost everything is made from scratch, it's not healthy. It's very heavy. And so I just make it lighter and healthier, not as sweet. And I use better sugars and better oils and stuff like that. I mean, we cooked with lard and butter and all of that, and that's good. Like that part is really good, but we ate a lot of sugar and we ate a lot of fried foods. So what I did is I took that and I made it healthier. You can find it in the show notes, but you can also find it on my website, www.undieu.com. And that is also where you're going to find like a whole bunch of resources, like some meal plans. I have 5 different types of meal plans that are all laid out for you, whether it's anti inflammatory, thyroid, blood sugar balancing, that kind of stuff. And I also have a whole bunch of free stuff on there. Like I have my 5-day free protein push, which if you don't know how to get enough protein, you must absolutely go through that. It's loaded with information and loaded with recipes and meal plans and stuff like that. And then I have, thyroid guide, adrenal guide, sleep course. I have a 3-day sleep course. There's so much information there. So make sure you go there and check all of that stuff out. Last but not least, I just want to encourage you guys that this time of the year, take time for yourself. Even though if you have these traditions and you're doing all this kind of fun stuff, that can be really fulfilling. But also make sure that you don't neglect yourself and take time for yourself. Before I go, I want to remind you guys if you are someone that is looking to make a change in your health and you need more help and you need more support and you need to help with figuring out what is going on, I'm here to help you. I literally had a conversation with someone yesterday that just came on and started working with me. And she said, I've just not been getting blood work done and I haven't been doing anything because I was so afraid that I was going to like go to the doctor and they're going to run basic blood work and then just tell me like, well, you're fine, but like I don't feel fine. And I hear that almost every single week. And so if you are that person where if you're like, I know you guys are tired. I know that you're confused. I know that you're feeling like you're just like throwing darts at your health. What I mean by throwing darts at your health is like I'm trying this supplement and hope it lands. I'm trying this diet and hope it lands, but like nothing is working. And that's because you don't have the data. You don't have enough data to know what to do. Then you need a professional to take a look at it. And that is by doing in depth blood work and looking at your diet, looking at your habits, your exercise, and all of that. And so if you are someone that is ready for that and you're like, no, I need help, I want to do it right this time, go to my website, www.undieu.com, and book a consultation with me and let's get you feeling better. 2025 is the year for feeling better. It's a year for answers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and I've got some inspiration on traditions and also check out my Amish ebook and I'll see you guys next week.